typically want to build wealth, but don't want to take out the time to learn how to build wealth. So this is one of the biggest dilemmas I see. We all plan for the future. We all want to make informed investment decisions, but we need to educate ourselves and understand the market and the dynamics to get there. Essentially, so at Indian Women in Dubai, we believe in women empowerment. Every activity, every initiative we uptake, we try and add value to the confidence of women, I would say. And financial awareness is very important part of what we do. So I am very excited to present an expert from our own community. Vidisha has been with us, a member since a long time. Vidisha and I have been in touch for the last couple of years, and I'm so glad we could make this session happen today. Now, I always say India is our Janmbhumi, UAE is our Karmbhumi. And, now with India expanding so beautifully, emerging cities coming up, exciting opportunities coming up, there is so much that we as NRIs need to learn about our own country. जब बाहर रहते हैं ना तो वो इंडिया से टच चला जाता है, and we don't know what is happening, which cities coming up faster, where should we invest. We all have that feeling that we want to earn money here, save, have savings in India, have properties in India, build our real estate, build our wealth in India, right? I'm very excited to present to you an expert from our own community. Vidisha is the founder of PropGlocal Real Estate. She has been a veteran in Dubai. She has over 15 years of experience. Guys, that's a lot of experience. She has managed and recommended and worked with multiple NRIs across various geographies. You talk UK, US, Singapore market, everywhere she's played a role. So she comes with a lot of experience from global markets to present her perspective to us that we can all learn here today. Today, I want to focus on our Matrabhumi India, right? So we will I have a few questions for Vidisha when I came up with the discussion, but I also want to keep this session very interactive. Okay, so as we go through, अगर आपको कोई सवाल आ रहा है, please type it in the chat box. I promise we will take it up as we go through. So keep the chat box open. On that note, I just want you all to check the chat box. It's working. Can you all say a big hello in the chat box? We'll just test quickly. It is working. You all can type in here. If you are in the call, please can you mute yourself so we don't get any background noise also. Asam Disha, Vastu by Sony, I can say hi. Say hi, guys. Hi, Leela. Lovely to see you. Madhuji, hi. Abhilash, hi. Chitra, hi. Divya, hi. Jigyasa, hello. It's also lovely to see you all. Joshi, Meera, hello. Nutan, hi. Sheetal, hi. Shilpa ji, hi. Very nice to see you here. Amazing. Vidya ji, hi. Smita, hello. Very nice, guys. So let's get started. I think we have the chat box is activated. Please type your questions in there. If we go in the end, we will open it up for everybody. I have a few set of questions which I would want to start with to make it interactive and cover the basics of this topic. And then it's an open house for all of us. My first question is, let's just get to know our speaker here today, right? Vidisha comes with an amazing experience. You spent over 15 years in the corporate life, right? And then you have had a transition.
Yes,
Brinda ji, I would request you to please mute yourself. Thank you. I want to understand what inspired your transition and what gap did you see in the market that you set up your own company?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Reema, for this opportunity. I mean, this is great to connect with so many people, on a Saturday morning, like we rightly said. So thank you so much once again. I, spent 15 years of my life, building various companies. I have worked extensively into financial services. And, I have seen people calculate risks while even small investments. And, along the way, what I realized is that, real estate has this really huge gap where, sometimes, emotions take over, strategy, which is something, one of the biggest gaps that I noticed. And also what happens is possibly people look at larger brochures and, people kind of do not, work with a certain investment framework, which ideally they should, So that is something which I saw as a huge gap. Somebody... How do you basically mitigate risk when you are putting crores of your money? So this is something that I noticed, and I realized that I should actually get into this and tell people, possibly consolidate my learnings over 15 years into financial services, that this is how you build a strategic asset for yourself. This is how there was nobody to actually handhold specifically this NRI segment, who are really far away from home. You're not there to actually physically inspect. You're not there to see the growth happening right in front of your eyes. So there had to be somebody to actually guide people and tell that, yes, India is also growing. India is not just a retirement home like earlier. I still remember a couple of years back, everybody would think that India is just my retirement home. मुझे इंडिया में अगर घर खरीदना है तो मैं वहां रिटायर करूं इसीलिए. But that's not the case. So because I realized this, that's where I formed PropGlocal. We are a very, very advisory based, and we are not outright selling projects or something, but we are very advisory based. We, talk data. People who have founded this company are industry veterans. So that's one of the things that I realized, and that's where I am today. And I've already helped like hundreds and hundreds of NRIs actually build their capital through real estate.
Wonderful. We are we are very blessed to have you then, Vidisha. We would love to leverage all the knowledge, all the information you've gathered over the years. Your experience will probably come in very handy for all of us. So I want to deep dive into the first question straight away, right? India versus Dubai. So Madhur versus Karm Bhumi, as I would like to say, right? As NRIs, a lot of us have benefited. Some of us have invested in Dubai. Typically we would buy our own home first and then start investing in investment properties, right? Why should NRIs be looking at India? Like, it's India versus Dubai. Is it? And Dubai is like the real estate market for the world, basically, right? That's what
Yeah,
it's said.
absolutely.
It's portrayed as the real estate market for the world. So when you think about India versus Dubai, is it really about creating a balanced global investment portfolio, or what is your perspective around it?
Look, the question is never India or Dubai. You cannot compare two very different markets, just like you cannot compare apples to oranges, right? So they are two extremely different markets. They behave in a very, very different way. So it has to be always India and Dubai also. So you cannot completely ignore India out of your portfolio. So because you have to diversify as well, right? So you do not put all your eggs in one basket, and expect that nothing will happen and that's my safest heaven. No. The logic of any investment is diversification. So India is actually a very good diversification bet. And thankfully, we come from a country which is growing leaps and bounds, for the past 1 or 2 decades. And this is something that people should consider to be part of their portfolio. Let me just give you a little bit of a comparison, because that will actually put in more logic to what I'm saying. So let's say, probably Dubai is slightly more cyclical as a market. Yeah, Dubai has a lot of, let's say it is definitely dependent on a lot of foreign money flowing into the country. It is dependent on a lot of oil. It is dependent on a lot of tourism. But also it is open globally. So the world is Dubai's market. Now, yes, that can be, an advantage. That can also be a disadvantage, because this is something that we just saw recently, right? Whatever happened. So, you are dependent on certain factors, okay? And there are certain crashes that this market has seen. There are certain, yes, it is a cyclical pattern. There will be an upside, then again it kind of plateaus, it will dip again. So because of all the dependencies, it's a good point. I mean, it's a blessing, as well as it's something that possibly is also at a high risk. Now, when you look at India, right? India is a more structural market. So when I say structural, okay, like let's say India is a 1.4 billion people economy, right? And there is a huge domestic consumption which happens. Now, there is 1.4 billion people possibly living in India, and then there are so many people who are also living outside of India. Then government infrastructure, talk about, manufacturing shifts happening to India. There is so much growth that is happening in India. So you will not see massive crashes that come into Indian market because the domestic consumption itself is so high, right? That's why I'm saying it's a very structurally growing market, right? It may be slightly slow, but for over the last 1 decade, we have seen it growing so swiftly, like any other country, like any other economy, one of the world's best economies. And it's also, as per IMF, India is going to be the third largest economy, by 2028. So that itself is, testimony, that itself a projection to why India also. I'm not saying why India only, but I'm saying India also. Also, one important factor is, let's consider the entry points, right? In Dubai, you probably require large sum of entry point. Why? Because financing here for off-plan properties is tough, right? You don't really get financing while you're trying to buy a property, when it's still in the construction phase. But this is something that India builds, and India brings in an advantage where immediately, as soon as the first stone is placed, you can get a mortgage from the bank, and you get leverage out of it, and you are able to spread out your cash flows across the construction period. So, and the ticket sizes are much lower, right? Your entry ticket sizes are much lower in India than Dubai, for example, right? So over the years, I have seen huge NRI contribution to the Indian real estate. So even until, let's say 2018 around, just before COVID also, there were just maybe a 10% NRI contribution, but I've seen huge contribution. This contribution almost doubled, by 2025, almost 20%, 20-25% is something that is the NRI contribution for Indian real estate at this point in time. And it is only expected to grow from here because of all the factors that I told him. It's very easy to enter, and the kind of some of the growth corridors and some of the government projects that I will talk about, that is all that is getting in, the difference that I'm talking about. So India is actually where you can compound your growth, over a period of time. Yes, Dubai, definitely. I'm not saying Dubai is not something, that you should not invest, but it's always a good idea to diversify to India because of these reasons that I spoke of.
Wonderful. Okay, at this point, I want to make sure everybody is awake. So type India in the chat box if you are there. If you have a question regarding anything we've discussed so far, type that question in the chat box too. So I want to make sure it's a very interactive session for everyone and everyone's getting value out of it. So I want to see India in the chat box. Wonderful. Thank you, Chitra. Thank you, Vastu by Soni, Raji. Wonderful. Sudhaji, very good. Gauri, lovely to see you here. India need to know more. Leela, yes, exactly. Now let's deep dive into India. And so everyone seems to be talking about the India growth story, right? And fundamentally, we feel a lot of things have changed in the last decade. Looks more promising. There are some major infrastructure projects, maybe like industries or economic developments, which are, which can develop, give us some investment hotspots. Do you have any perspective on that, Vidisha? And especially a person like me, I can't track these developments every day. Nahi hota hai. There is enough to do in Dubai for us. What should we be tracking for us? And, why do these factors are very important for us when we are choosing where we invest, how should we invest, how much to invest? So tell us more about it.
Look, so what is important? I think what India is not very good at is marketing. Okay, I think India has, the latest government plays a huge role, right? In any country, leadership, government plays a huge role in the growth of the economy. Now, some of the very important schemes that government is actually running, and I don't think anybody is aware of. That's what I'm talking about, bad marketing. India is not very good at marketing what it is really doing. Okay, so let's talk about how many of you know about Bharatmala? Who knows about Bharatmala? What is Bharatmala?
I don't, for sure.
Has anybody heard of Gati Shakti?
No.
Have you
No.
heard of, let's say, Udan?
No.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Nobody knows. We are all Indians, but nobody knows about these government schemes. These are beautiful government growth schemes. Okay, these are schemes. So let me talk about a few so that you will know, what I'm saying. So Bharatmala is basically, it is a huge network of highways, okay, that the government is building. So mala, right? It's mala. What is a mala, right? It's all weaved in together.
Yeah.
So India is currently getting connected by highways, and out of which almost 34,800 kilometers is already under execution. Why aren't we talking about it? 34,800 kilometers. I think what Dubai does beautifully is marketing, right? A 15-kilometer metro line, okay, is marketed and the entire world knows about it. And we are building a 34,800 kilometer highway network across the country. Nobody knows about it, right? Huge difference. Let me talk about, let me talk about Udan, for example. Udan is a project by the government where the government is building 100 airports. Okay, even the smallest of tier two, very, very, very tier two, tier three cities also will get connected through airports. This is again something that a lot of people don't know, right? Did you know that 100 airports are getting built in India as we are talking right now? 100 new airports in very
No,
smaller
not
towns.
at all.
Then talk about, there is this another mission called Jal Jeevan Mission where, okay,
We'll come to your
yes,
question,
yes, we'll
Lavina.
take
Yes.
questions.
Yeah.
So also it is about, Jal Jeevan Mission where, every household, so the government has said that every household will get water. Okay, water is very important. When I talk water, of course they get water, right? Through tankers today. But this is about actually getting, water from the municipality. So this is again a mission that the government has taken up. So these are something plus, okay, building a lot of smart cities. So so many cities today are going to become smart cities. When I say smart cities, these are basically getting connected completely. They will have the right infrastructure, the right planning, because earlier the older cities, okay, you will see there is a lot of mismatch into planning. But right now government is actually building smart cities, and almost 94% of these 8,067 project to build smart cities is already executed. It's done by the current government. So this is something that we don't even know about. And let's also talk about how global companies are currently placing their bets on India. Okay, if global companies are placing their bets in India, let's say for example Hyderabad, okay, Google is actually building its largest campus outside the US in Hyderabad, right? So it's Google who is trusting India to build its largest campus. Talk about Bangalore as a market, for example. There are so many R&D labs. So you have the Boeing R&D lab, you have the Shell R&D lab, you also have like SAP R&D lab, which is all in Bangalore. They are setting up in Bangalore. So when even global players are trusting, so it is high time that we, also come together and start trusting our government, start trusting the growth that people are getting into India. Why this really matters is because, see, these are very strong indicators. See, when global companies actually come in, what really happens? There's a huge influx of people moving into these urban setups, and when people move into these urban setups, people want housing. Automatically the demand for housing will start appreciating with all of this, right? So very, very important to know what is the government doing today, okay, what it has already achieved for driving the growth in the market. And secondly also, looking at the whole demand supply thing. Where is my demand coming from? Demand is coming from global companies. Talk about Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Uber. All these people, they're either in a Hyderabad or a Bangalore. Talk about data centers. People are setting up, larger data centers are getting set up in Coimbatore. I'm sure a lot of people know about this, or I don't know if people don't know about it. So in smaller cities like Coimbatore, Vizag is coming up in a big way, because of these data centers being set up. So these are things that, silently India is growing, but people don't know about.
Wonderful. So amazing. I mean, I think connectivity, water, infrastructure, the things that you talked about are important levers for any place to grow, right? And I think India's moving in the right direction. So guys, I am loving the questions coming in the chat box. Please keep them coming. I promise we'll take all of them. I have my next question ready. So without giving away all the secrets, Vidisha, can you tell me that if you had to shortlist a few Indian cities, and I really want to come to action, I'm one of those who wants to focus on action. Where should we be thinking of investing in the next decade? Which cities are top on your list? And then, I'm sure one of us will find कि हम उस state से हैं, हम उस city से हैं. So you feel more comfortable, right? The area of India that you are coming from. There's always that connection that, kuch to, we have that. So which ones are on your list and which ones stand out for you at the moment, given what all information and data you have?
Right. So, Reema, this is what I think where we go wrong. You just said that we have an emotional attachment to,
We do.
some cities. So,
We do, don't we?
We do, yeah. But this is an asset which we expect to grow. So we should not take an emotional decision and decide कि अच्छा मेरे parents तो इंदौर से है तो मैं इंदौर में घर ले लेती हूँ. नहीं, ये नहीं होना चाहिए. You should put in
ऐसा
your
लगता
money.
है ना easier to
जहाँ
manage
पे-
होगा. I don't know if
जी.
anybody else on this call thinks about it, but I always feel if I buy it in my area, somebody in my family can at least go to the property and look at it because we live here.
That is where you need to invest in the right product, people where you can actually trust. Talking about all the grade A developers, what I increasingly tell people is that please make sure that you're going for the right developer. That's one very important factor. Don't look at the price point. It may be 100 rupees, 150 rupees above the market price, but you're going in for the trust. You're going in for the brand. You're going in for the past track records, the correct track records that, grade A developers actually get in. So there are a lot of grade A developers today. And we kind of work with 50 plus grade A developers in India. And, these are people who we on ground have done the due diligence about. We know their past track record. We know the quality that they deliver. We know the, so that's where, this little bit of an emotional decision we need to keep aside and probably take a more strategic decision of investing into the right product. That's very, very critical. So one of the, like from a growth standpoint, purely from a growth standpoint, I would say one, city which tops my list is definitely Bangalore. Okay, Bangalore also is a large, let's say it's a large city. There are, it is a proven IT corridor. It's a proven market. It has given a lot of yields to people over the years. That definitely is at the top of my chart because, let's talk about, a couple of huge infrastructure developments. Like there is something called as the Aerospace Park, which is almost a 10,000 acre government project to build in, multiple IT park, hardware park, aerospace park. So you have your Boeing, you have your Shell, all the R&Ds that I was talking about. Okay, they are all here. Talk about, something called a Swift City. Swift City is where it's again a 100-acre government project where all the AI and tech companies are actually going to be based in one particular location. So when you are consolidating these kind of, R&D labs, IT parks, etc., that obviously is going to get you that kind of growth. My second favorite would, let's say not favorite, but something that is really upcoming and becoming a hot favorite destination is also Hyderabad, because Hyderabad, like I said, Google is building the largest campus in Hyderabad. Also, pharma. Predominantly there is a lot of so there is something called a Genome Valley. There is financial district, there's tech city which is coming up in Hyderabad. So these are important things that actually drive real estate demand and also real estate growth. Talking about other markets also, like let's say Pune, okay, again an IT corridor. Let's talk about your one golden rule. Let me talk about this one golden rule also. One golden rule that you should remember is anything, okay, that is, you should follow airports. wherever there is a new airport getting announced, okay, wherever there is a new, so with airport gets a lot of, you know, logistics, trade, etc., and that kind of builds an entire aeropolis around it. So one golden rule you should remember is invest near the airport. हमेशा फायदे में रहोगे.
Very interesting. That's a good tip, guys. Give me a thumbs up if you like this tip. I think I agree with it conceptually that, yeah, wonderful. We are loving the thumbs up coming up. Thank you, guys. Yeah, but okay, you mentioned Hyderabad and Bangalore. I want to stop you there, right? And I have this question, which I think some of you must be thinking. Property prices have already increased many-fold in these parts of India. Bangalore is super expensive when I ask anybody, right? The rents in Bangalore, my friends keep cribbing about. I'm sure some of you from Bangalore can back me up there, right? As NRIs, have I missed the opportunity? You know, like, is it really the case that, or are we still in early stages of that growth cycle?
Okay. If I talk about Bangalore specifically, okay, we are somewhere in the mid cycle. While there are a lot of other cities also, okay, let's say we are in the second inning right now out of the 9 innings. First inning is gone, है ना? We are in the second inning. तो मैं नहीं बोलूँगी it's very late. ठीक है? We are you know, I'm talking about, let's say, there is a lot of, okay. So one important data point that we need to consider, okay, because of all these projects that are actually coming up in these cities, what is going to eventually happen? There is a lot of population that is going to concentrate into these urban setups, right? People from tier 3, tier 2 towns also because of employment, right? What pulls you from one city to another? Employment. All of us also that we have actually moved out of our country is why? Because of employment maybe, right? So this is something that will pull employment. Okay, so let's say the current projection is about, you know, currently we have about 540 million approximately urban population, okay, in India, but this is soon going to grow to about 670 million in the next 5-6 years. And by 2040, it's almost going to be 900 million people. I'm sure there are going to be more urban, you know, cities also getting added to the current list. So current list is, let's say, only major 5 to 6 cities, right? But many more cities will get added to this list as well. So demand is very important, and that is what we definitely need to look at. Yes, rentals are high. And that's the opportunity, right? You enter early into a project, you actually enter early into a project, get the best pricing, and you will not believe when I say, like, some of the pockets, some of the areas in Bangalore are commanding almost 6% rental yield, which is, I think, the highest in the country. Nowhere, I guess. It's almost comparable to Dubai. Ab Dubai mein dekh lo. Aapko 6% to milta hi hai, right? So 6% is not bad for an Indian market. I mean, that's what I'm talking about, you know, smart diversification, getting into the right project, getting into the right growth corridor, very important. There are a lot of pockets still available in a lot of cities which are currently in their mid cycle, like पूरा डेवलप, पूरा मच्योर नहीं हुए हैं. Even Bombay, for example, अगर आप देख लो Navi Mumbai, towards your Panvel, towards, you know, far towards, you know, wherever this entire, that the Atal Setu project, you know, your Nava Sheva connecting South Bombay, all people from Bombay will understand what I'm saying. You know, Navi Mumbai has become the hotspot now. Everyone wants to be in Navi Mumbai. So Mumbai saturate हो गया है, लेकिन Navi Mumbai है.
Wow, amazing. Okay, I have another question now talking on this. As NRIs, and especially you worked with hundreds of us, right, who are investing in India, we usually would have a family property, but investment property mere paas bhi nahi hai. Okay. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see a first-time investor make? And what is your biggest tip for all of us to avoid that? You know, what should we not be doing? Now that we've discussed what all we should be looking at, I want to understand it from the other perspective.
I think one of the biggest mistakes, like I said, is emotional. हाँ ठीक है. This is, India is definitely part of our, I call it the emotional infrastructure, right? So you have your strategic infrastructure and you have your emotional infrastructure. India is definitely an emotional infrastructure also. But अगर आपको सच में पैसा बनाना है, then you have to look at your strategic infrastructure also. तो ये इमोशनल डिसीजन जो होता है ना कि नहीं नहीं इंडिया तो मेरा सिर्फ रिटायरमेंट होम होगा, एंड दैट इज व्हाई आई एम बाइंग इट, पहाड़ों में मुझे घर चाहिए. यस, दैट्स अ ब्यूटीफुल थॉट, यू कैन, बट देन यू कैन नॉट एक्सपेक्ट कि मुझे इससे कैपिटल गेन चाहिए. वो एक्सपेक्टेशन गलत है. फिर अगर आप बोल रहे हो मेरे को पहाड़ों में घर चाहिए लेकिन मेरे को 5% रिटर्न चाहिए, तो नहीं होगा, राइट? So emotional decision versus strategy, you have to keep those separate, just the way we keep our professional and personal life separate. So this also has to be separate. Also, I think one very important is not to look at fancy brochures. A lot of developers will build fancy brochures, लेकिन आप सही में अगर आप जाके देखोगे जब actual delivery होगी, आपको पता चलेगा ब्रोशर में से आधी चीजें गायब है. That's why choosing the right developer with a very strong track record is very, very, very critical. If I talk about couple of developers, okay, who we have seen have a much stronger track record in the market. Let me talk about, if I go up north, it is DLF. If I talk about down south, you have Shobha, you have Purvankara, you have Prestige. If you talk about Pan India, you have companies like, you have Godrej. If you talk about let's say towards Bombay, you have Lodha, you have Hiranandani, you have, so there are so many, right? So you need to choose, it's not just the right developer, but also the right product, right location. It's a right mix of things. So this is another thing. And also, one important mistake is not having a very clear exit strategy. So it's very important कि आप ना थोड़ा, when you're talking to someone, आप उनको अपना exit strategy भी बताओ. Very important to open up. जैसे आप डॉक्टर के पास जाते हो, you have to tell, right? You have to open up to your doctor and say, okay, these are my 5 problems and this is what I'm facing today. If you do not open up to your consultant, to your advisor, okay, he will not end up giving you the right decision. तो आपका exit strategy क्या है? You should know कि मुझे 18 महीने बाद मुझे बेच के उसका capital gain लेके निकल जाना है. Or I am looking for pure rental income. Okay, maybe I want to earn rental from this property for the next 4 years, 5 years, and then probably I will move into the property. Okay, so a lot of people keep saying this to me. Now, so your exit strategy has to be very clear. And any developer who is not, open to your exit strategy, okay, you should not go ahead with that project, however fancy, however beautiful that project is.
Very important.
Yes.
And I think you just gave away some good developer names a lot. I could see Sony making notes, right? So those are the good nuggets that we all need, essentially, the right people and the right developers to invest in. I have an interesting question in the chat box. I want to take that up now, Vidisha. So Priya is asking that she's a freelancer here, and I think she wants to, and a lot of us have that question around mortgages and getting loans against a property. So what is the benchmark there? How much initial investment or capital would we need on a typical project? And कितना अगर हमारे पास दुबई का वीजा है या freelancer वीजा है या NRI है, our status is as NRI in India, right? Will we get loans in India? Will we get mortgages in India?
Yeah, of course. Everybody gets a mortgage in India. That's the beauty, right? You get financial leverage even at an under construction. Even at the, as soon as, a particular project receives its RERA, okay, the moment it receives its RERA, you can pay your booking amount, okay, and the rest of it, like whatever basis your eligibility also, right? Every bank is going to check your eligibility, your documents, etc., etc. This is that you can go for a mortgage. Everybody is eligible for a mortgage, pretty much. It's not that stringent like the way we face here, right? There are so many criteria, but yeah, NRIs, in fact, NRIs get leverage very easily. And see, your entry point, okay, to India can be anywhere from, good asset, I would say, would start from like maybe your 80 lakhs to, and then of course sky is the limit. आपको 10 crore, 15 crore, 20 crore का भी property चाहिए, वो भी मिलेगा. You want something as small as an 80 lakh, 1 crore, 1.2 crore investment, you can enter into that small an investment and you will get leverage from the bank. So yeah, banks are very open to NRIs.
Okay. Disha, do you have a question? I can see your hand raised. Tell me. Okay, I think she's just left the call.
Okay.
There's another question on Swift City here. I think you mentioned it in and Leela is here. Leela, say hi. She said it's far away from the airport. And what are your thoughts on it? Can you just throw maybe a little bit more light on the Swift City?
Yes, it is definitely far away from the airport. I definitely agree on that point. लेकिन आपको एक चीज समझना चाहिए. For very large projects, where will you get such a large land parcel, right? जहाँ पे land होगा, वहीं पे they can set up. Okay, so yes, airport is definitely one ground rule, but another ground rule is also these kind of developments, right? Swift City is the talk of the town right now. So जहाँ पे Swift City is around near that Sarjapur belt, right? So yes, it is far away from the airport for sure, but also it is important to see that what is future holding for that particular city, right? Kitna employment aayega usse, kitna housing demand, and you know what? Already all the grade A developers out there have already bought their land around this, and this is something that has been planned, let's say a decade, maybe 5 to 6 years to 7 years back. So there is huge plan around that. So if you want to invest, there are a couple of developers who are coming around that particular locality of Swift City. So it's a no-brainer to enter right now, because what is important to also understand is, Reema, this is something I definitely want to mention, is the real growth starts happening when the announcement comes from the government. It is not when the infrastructure is already built. अगर स्विफ्ट सिटी कल बन आज से 5 साल बाद जब बन जाएगा ना, दैट टाइम इट इज ऑलरेडी पीक द ग्रोथ. बट आज जो अनाउंसमेंट आया है ना, दैट इज व्हेन द रियल ग्रोथ स्टार्ट्स, एंड यू हैव टू बी पार्ट ऑफ दैट ग्रोइंग इंजन.
Amazing. I'm loving the chat box. We have a lot of questions coming in for you, Vidisha, which is great for us. Keep them coming, guys. Please type your questions in the chat box. I have a question from Varsha that I want to take up here. Can you talk about maintenance charges? We've seen it. It's very high in Mumbai, especially. I know it affects your ROI, right? What are your thoughts on it when we want to buy something, we want to rent it out, essentially?
See, maintenance charges depends on location, depends on the project, depends on the developer. It varies from it can start from anywhere between 10-12 rupees to, it can go per square feet, and it can go up to your 25-30 rupees. Now depending on how premium your entry is, let's say you are into a villa community, वहाँ पे एक villa 8 crore 10 crore 12 crore का villa है, ठीक है? Now don't you think that it is going to take that much more effort to actually maintain the beauty of that particular project? It is about maintenance also, right? So then obviously you are going to end up paying premium for that maintenance. But having said that, if you're going to move into a slightly more, let's say a slightly more affordable segment, your maintenance is proportionally smaller. So maintenance to hoga, otherwise how will the beauty of your project sustain?
हाथी पालोगे तो पैसा भी ज्यादा देना पड़ेगा, guys. It's as simple as that. Your choice for that. Another question from Disha is, I think she's a Canadian citizen, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who have UK passports and Canadian passports. Can they get mortgage in India? Is there an option?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So we can apply for mortgages in India. I think maybe, Disha, you probably set a 1-to-1 with Vidisha so that you can understand it better in terms of your options. Okay. Manisha has a question. Can we talk about the rate of interest of mortgage on India versus Dubai, and also like the basic infrastructure in the surroundings, like roads and infrastructure? Okay. So what's your thought on mortgage in India versus mortgage in Dubai currently?
Mortgages in Dubai are definitely lesser. Okay, I mean, when I talk about the interest rates, they are 100% lesser than India. Okay, because of the lending rates, because of the economies are very different. Okay, na, this is a topic which I can talk for like 3 hours also. So. So this is, I mean, we can have a separate session for this, Reema. But for mortgages, yes, यहाँ के mortgages rates are much better. But please understand, policies बहुत अलग है, economy अलग है. banks are very different. I don't know if you can actually take leverage. I don't think like let's say an ENBD is not going to give you leverage to buy a property back in India. आपको शायद personal loan लेना पड़ेगा. It is not going to give you a 25-year loan for a project in Delhi, for example. So आपको Indian banks are the only ones who can give you leverage on that property for 20-25 years, right? So
Right.
choice is yours. आपको कितना leverage, कितना lengthy leverage चाहिए.
Yeah, so I think it depends on the country and where you're investing also, right? The growth rate is also proportional. Okay, Soni, you have your hand up. Do you have a question here? Kuch hai? Yeah. Can you unmute then maybe?
Hi, Vidisha. Vidisha, I want to know, like we being in Dubai, if we are investing in India, so what happens many times, property is not looked after. So like we can't reach. Now I go to Mumbai. So if I'm investing in Bangalore, so always I have to go to Bangalore to check out my property. I don't have anyone in Bangalore. So in that case, how the property is managed? Because there are, I have came across, there are many agents or the brokers who look after the property, but like it's a big investment, and many times it has been that that property is not taken care of, and it was sold from one person to other to third person, fourth person. That way, these cases have come across.
See, property maintenance, yes, I agree to your point. So there are a lot of NRI property management services, professional services which are available, jahan pe they keep visiting your property every 2 months, 3 months, they have a certain tag. So वो लोग जाते हैं, they will go check your property, आपको photos भेजेंगे, आपको videos भेजेंगे, आपको live लेंगे. So these all services they do, but you will have to choose the right property management partner also. There are specific companies who only cater to NRIs, because ऐसे होता है कि let's say one NRI has 10 properties in Bombay. आप 10 कैसे करोगे? So then they will take up the contract for all the 10 properties. So that's how typically it works.
Okay.
So I think you have to partner with a good property management company also there to maintain
also,
it.
one more thing is that now everything has become very digital in India. तो सारे जो records होते हैं, आपके जो property records होते हैं, title deeds होते हैं, everything is now getting digital. Okay, so ये जो problem है ना, it's getting sold to the wrong people, ये हो रहा है, वो हो रहा है, cheating हो रही है, that will completely eliminate, because everything will have a digital footprint from now on.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Who else is the hand up, guys? Radhika, do you have a question here? You have your hand up.
I want to add to the point that this lady was talking about just now to Vidisha. Yes, people encroach on your property. They can sell it when you are not really watching out for it carefully. And now that it's getting digital, things probably would get under control. However, if you look at the past, if somebody was owning a property and suddenly there is like a discussion between the family itself, between maybe the father and the son, and guess what? The son comes up, puts a case against the father for selling the property, and so the property owner has a case in his name because the son has filed a case against him saying that how the hell could the father sell it to him without his permission?
Correct.
These things
yes,
are
definitely these kind of litigations do happen. I'm not denying that. Okay, but then again, this is what is very important is to keep a solid paper trail. Okay, to everything. Very important. I'm not sure how many of you know about Benami law. Who knows about Benami law?
No.
Okay. So Benami law has certain rules, okay, for whenever you're buying into a particular property, okay, whether let's say, okay, my husband has bought a property in my name, okay, but I am not funding that property. Let's say he's the only one who's funding that property. So there are certain laws and rules that you need to keep in mind, and a thorough documentation and paper trail has to be there for everything. So every transaction, every single documentation around it has to be there. If it is a loan, you should have an agreement around it. Every single thing, okay, has to be documented. That is one of the biggest saviors, okay, which can save you from the Benami law also, and it can also save you from any such litigations where somebody else is, and giving power of attorney. How can you sell without power of attorney? I'm sure there is some sort of power of attorney. The father has given the son. Otherwise, without that, it's impossible to sell the property. You can't give a general power of attorney to anybody. It's like giving a blank check.
Got it. Maybe a one-off case, Leela. Maybe you can discuss it directly with Vidisha, but looks like a one-off thing that might happen to. Yeah.
Exactly. No, I just spoke out of a general
Yes.
thing,
Yes.
general information. But I
Got
have
it.
I have a specific question now. This is basically related to supposing somebody has bought a property, let's say, for example, in Bangalore, okay? And when they have bought the property, they have actually got supported by their parents who were in NRI, but they had returned to India. And the person who actually bought the property was overseas. Okay, so somebody who's overseas has used the support of their parents who were NRI and returned to India and bought the property. Now, when you sell the property, would you be able to repatriate the money, or would that money be like as if it is an NRO money? I mean, sorry, as a local money.
So who is selling? Who is selling?
The owner. For example, if the owner who is basically an NRI, okay, the owner is an NRI, they bought a property with the support of their parents who were also NRI, but they were in India. Okay, so they supported the purchase of the property.
Understood.
The party who was NRI has returned the money to the parents. So
But Indian transaction will always stay in INR.
Yes, Indian transaction stays in INR, but is there any way for them to repatriate the funds when they sell overseas?
Yeah, of course. The same way you repatriate your money, right? From any kind of income that you're generating in India, let's say, okay, you repatriate the same way.
No, it will probably get into the NRO account
Yes,
of the person.
There will be certain capital gains. Okay, so you will need to. So there are certain. So these are all legal questions. So there is something called as Form 13, which you will need to sign. This is another very lengthy discussion. So you should actually consult either a property lawyer. Okay, because this is a very legal question, and your CA also will be important in this case, who will actually guide you how to repatriate that money with minimal taxation. Because when you are selling a property, you will actually have to pay taxes on the entire amount and not just the capital gain. So so how do you actually minimize that? You can minimize it through something called as Form 13. So
do you recommend the property lawyer to be spoken to in
CA.
Dubai or in India?
India.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Leela. Awesome. Okay, guys, any final question for Vidisha before we move on? I have two more. Just type it in the chat box so we can take it up. Okay, Disha has a question. I'll take that up last one and then we'll move on. So she says, my family owns a property in India, and since we've been living abroad, it has been rented out to tenants for a long time. The current occupant has allegedly created forged documents claiming the property belongs to him, even though it's legally registered in my grandfather's name. I think that's, I wanted to voice that question because, that is the dar, a lot of NRIs have, because like I said, I can't be in India to maintain my property. So what's your best advice there, Vidisha?
See, your best advice is this: you have to maintain a proper paper trail, and also, I don't know how long back this property had been bought. Is it bought like 20 years back?
It looks like grandfather's property, right? So it's been there for a while.
Records nahi the. But now, okay, you have digital records, digital footprints for every single transaction that you do. So, aaj ka zamana bahut alag hai. So, it is far more safer and secure because of the digital footprint, and India is way ahead in this, in terms of having every single, like your digital locker systems, your, see, the property.
Yeah, 1967, right? So it's a really old property, right? I think it's getting the right papers in hand for you.
Correct. So there's a lot involved into it. It's not just, one case, but yeah, there's so much involved into it. that needs to be considered.
Great. Thank you. Hope that answers your question, Disha. And I think maybe set up a one-to-one with a property lawyer or Vidisha if you need more, you want to discuss it more.
Property lawyer.
Yeah, property lawyer, not Vidisha. There you go. I think you have to just reach out to the right person. Okay, so I want to move on, Vidisha. My final two questions. My first one is for
Yeah.
so many women on this platform, right? What advice do you want to give to every woman out there who's interested in investing, like I am, and a lot of us in this room are, right? We're interested in investing, but we always feel we don't have enough information, we don't have enough confidence. I don't know enough how to take the first step.
Okay. When you don't know when to take the what to do, then it is best to reach out to an expert. It's best to take advice from someone who is not selling you something. Okay, please understand, you need to reach out to someone who's actually asking you the right questions, because only and only if an advisor is asking you the right set of questions, okay, will the person be able to frame something exactly as per your requirement in a much safer, secure, completely, all the due diligence has already been done by the expert, etc. So, don't just, individually look at beautiful brochures, beautiful fancy videos. Anybody can make fancy videos. But, what's important is actually go through the right consultant. I always say that. And you're literally, it is only going to work in your favor because you are getting a financial gain out of it. Not really the advisor. The advisor, yes, is getting taken care of by the developer. But, for you, as a person, you are the only one who's going to benefit out of the right advice, and someone who's actually asking the right questions. Extremely important. And I think women play a huge role, right, in financial independence, everything, because I have never come across a single client, okay, who says कि मैंने प्रॉपर्टी खरीद ली बिना वाइफ के कंसेंट के. कोई नहीं करता. So a woman plays a huge role, and individually also, if you want to, take control of that, and you feel that you have enough funds, you have enough guidance, okay, why not? Go ahead. Reach out to someone who you trust, reach out to someone who can actually help you realize that, that investment for you.
Great. Lavina, you raised your hand. Do you have one final question? What is it?
Yeah, I just want to thank to Vibha for all this information. I'm really very happy. But I just want to make sure that, can you please share a checklist, from 1 point to 10 points, so what exactly we have to do, if you can share that, it will be really helpful for all others. I think it will going to clear all the curiosities what people have in their mind. Just let me know ना, you from starting से लेकर के कि पहले आपको ये करना है, then ये a checklist should be there, for the proper person who can guide us. Just I want to know that checklist.
I agree with you 100%. आप one-on-one मेरे से बात कीजिए. I think बहुत सारे लोग हैं यहाँ पे. आप let's connect one-on-one. फिर मैं आपको 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 जो भी steps है मैं आपको सारे के सारे बता दूंगी.
I think what we'll do, Vidisha, if you're okay and comfortable, we
Yeah.
can share your contact details with everyone on this call, and whoever wants to set up a one-to-one consultation, they can connect with you, and you can
I'm
take
just
it forward
sharing
on
it
those.
on the
Please
chat.
do. Please do, and I think Team IWD, if we can send it on all the, to all the participants of the webinar also, we will share it. So there you guys, the email is there, the phone number is there. Please note it down if you're here. And whenever you feel comfortable, take your husband along and go and sit with Vidisha for an hour, right? And just, learn more about the upcoming India and the amazing projects and what you as an investor should be thinking about in more detail, because सबके personal circumstances अपने होते हैं, right? So you need to do that.
Yeah,
Very nice.
Happy to have coffee with any of you if you want to have a more deeper discussion on this. But coffee treat देनी पड़ेगी उसके लिए.
Coffee हम पिलाएंगे, tension ना लो, बिल्कुल. Wonderful, guys. Please note the number and the email if you need it, and we will also share it with everyone here. I want to finish this on a very future-focused note, Vidisha. If you're all sitting here 5 years from now, what do you think would have changed in India's real estate, state? What do you think would have been different that we all should not be missing about?
Correct. So, like I said, India is set. It is already on the path to become the third largest economy, right? Globally recognized. And there is a huge report about it from IMF. So everybody should definitely read this project, the report. Also, there is a lot of, let's understand, what is the kind of equity that is coming into the economy and the growth corridors. So I already spoke about a lot of futuristic, projects that the government is currently working on. Apart from that, the expectation is that there will be almost 30,000 global leadership roles, okay, that are going to be available in multiple of these centers, Indian centers, by, let's say, in the next 2 to 3 years, and where the income is going to almost, this is a projection, there are reports around it, this is that the income of the newer buyers is going to be upwards of $300,000, in income. So this is something very important to understand, that the income slabs are also increasing, and also the growth story of India is very strong at this point in time, and you should definitely ride the wave. And there is also very strong projection of NRI contribution growing from a current 20% to a good 28% in the next 5 years, which means huge structural capital inflow is coming into the economy. Very important to be a part of it right now, so that you are actually able to ride on that growth wave, and without very high risks, which a lot of other markets have. Fortunately, we're part of such an economy which does not have so many risk factors, because it's a domestic consumerism is very high. Our population is our biggest strength today. So domestic consumerism itself can take care of everything that India needs today. It really does not need to depend on external factors. So very, very important point.
Amazing. Thank you. On that note, I think India looks very promising. We all have to do our back end work and, numbers. But I think it looks like an amazing growth story. And as Indians, we all feel very proud when we hear about these good things about India, right? I hope the webinar was useful, guys. I hope everyone who joined got good value out of it. The recordings will be available on YouTube. We will share it with you. Next time, apne husband ko bitha ke dikhao. That is what I want you all to do, because it's always investing in a property is a family decision. It's, both of you need to be equally involved. If they have questions, I would highly recommend grabbing a coffee with Vidisha and her team. I think they're very, very knowledgeable. They can probably help you, guide you more in all your questions that we've probably not covered right now. Wonderful. Thank you, guys. And on behalf of Indian Women in Dubai, thank you, Vidisha, for doing this wonderful webinar, for sharing your knowledge, sharing your experience with all of us. It's been fantastic.